Hey, what's going on, Freedomers? One of the things I've noticed is my South Node in uh Venus or Taurus or if your South Node in Libra. I've learned about Libra and Taurus that Taurus leverages control and Libra values leverage. So I've learned that the Taurus, and they both have the shallow mindset of if they can't leverage you, they want nothing to do with you, the Libra. But if they can't control you, they want nothing to do with you, Taurus. And I've realized with both signs, um, have major issues with shallowness of money. And like when you're dealing with signs who have or are Venus based, but they have bad relationships with money, they become very shallow directly or indirectly. So Taurus may be more direct and they may be on some, yo, if you don't got money, I'm not fucking with you. But the Libra will, because they see some type of leverage, they won't say that to you directly, but they'll use it. They'll use what you can bring as a partner or as a relationship to keep you around. And they'll make it seem a lot more fancy than what it really actually is. They'll make it seem they're more valuable than what it actually is. And because you don't have any money, they'll be like, yo, you're not even really that valuable anyway because you don't have any money. And like for instance, one of my associate of mine, now she said something that I think about and I think is interesting. She said, I'm more of value to you because of my life experience. And I said, yeah and nay. Like the reason why I said yeah and nay is because if I leverage you, in other words, if I say, hey, how do I cook this? How do I do this? How do I do that? Like outside of material gain, like if I learn how to say, how do you cook? How do you cook this? How do you shop for this? How do you, what's this for the apartment? How do you pay this bill? Like life experience, like normal, adult life experience. Like I'm leveraging other people's resources. So I haven't paid my own rent yet. So I don't know what that feels like. I haven't paid my own water yet. So I don't know what that feels like. I haven't, uh, uh, I haven't paid any bills that I pay all my bills are paid by me, but except my rent and my utilities. So I've learned that they're very shallow on both regards. So I learned that one of the things you can't do is seek security in your south node. Let me say that again. One of the things you can't do is you cannot seek security in your south node. So if you find people who are of a Venus south node, like mine is in Scorpio in the ninth house. So if you don't give let's say you don't give acknowledgement to Pluto, so that just means that Scorpio is a Mars planet, the sign of Mars. So if you say the direct opposite, and not even saying you're dealing with the house yet, the 10th house, Capricorn is another thing. But let's say you're dealing with the direct opposite of Taurus and Libra. Mine's in Taurus though. And you realize both of them bring an aggravation to your life that you'll never understand. Like I've realized that I wouldn't say only water signs, but um um they lack a certain, especially the Libra is not well rounded emotionally and spiritually and financially. They lack the leverage I need to say, hey, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. What do you feel about this? How should I feel about this? And they low key go back to the understanding of money. Bro, your only problem is money. And like low key, they say that. And like for instance, one of my friends, she's a Virgo Libra cuss and a Mercury in Libra. So she low key be saying to me, bro, if you're like, for instance, I'm in somebody else's house, eighth house. I'm in a Scorpio situation where I'm in somebody else's resource. I'm sleeping in one of their houses, and I'm in my north node where the fourth house is private, a private area. So that's a house, right, that I'm in right now, right? And I realized that she can't understand what I'm saying because she is the direct opposite of my north node. So because she is the direct opposite of my north node, she's gonna say everything a Venus energy would say. You gotta own it, you gotta make money. And that's important. Don't get it fucked up. Don't get it fucked up. But she doesn't rise above. She doesn't rise above the material plane. And here's what I mean by that. Meaning she doesn't rise above a material understanding. She doesn't delve into psychology and empathy and emotionality. She's only gonna talk from yo, bro, at the end of the day, bro, you're broke, or at the end of the day, and believe me, I say stuff like that, but I say it from yo, that's the end goal at the end of the day, bro. But at the same time, when I tell you that, I back it up with hard, yo, this how you need to think about it, this how you need to feel about it, yo, you need to focus on, like, emotionally and what matters, and like, she's not encouraging. She's just like, yo, at the end of the day, bro, you broke. Go fix that. And you're of a child because you're in somebody else's house. And like she said today, and she's like, yo, yo, at the end of it, she said 2 times. She said, at the end of the day, somebody's taking care of you because you're in somebody else's house. I said, that is so far-fetched. Why is that far-fetched for me? Because the person who put me in a house, if I don't speak to her, she don't speak to me. Like, she'll call me every once in a while, but like, we'll go 2-3 weeks without speaking. So in the beginning, when I came down to Atlanta, maybe we'll talk very more often. But I realized as time progressed, she's in her own bubble, she's in her own world, and if I don't speak to her, I don't know nothing about her business. So it is such a far-fetched idea for me to say somebody takes care of me, because 80% of my, no, not even 80, 95% of my life in Atlanta was taken care of by me. Most of the stuff that I got it from when I first came down here is by me. And I just kept some of the stuff that I've gotten when I first came down here, like the clothes and et cetera, et cetera. But now, what's crazy is that when I first came down to Atlanta, um, um, I came down here with nothing. You hear me? No clothes, no food, no money. I don't even, nothing. Not even cell phone service. I came down here with um, straight Wi-Fi and a cell phone. And what I'm learning is that, and I'm looking for emotional support from a Venus sign. And if the Venus sign is not fully developed emotionally and psychologically, they can't give it to me. And I realized that today. Like, if their rising is in Libra or their Mercury is in Libra, like, talking to them will be like talking to a money machine. It's like, yo, at the end of the day, bro, your only solution is finance. And that's all they talk about. And they only talk about the premise. Their premise would be their premise would be you're broke, and their end conclusion would be you're broke. And it's not there's no nurturing, there's no psychological evaluation, there's no emotional coddling, or not even coddling, but like nurturing. And they can be very, very, very shallow when it comes to nurturing. And I've realized this today. Like, most Libras and Tauruses that I met are very shallow. I'm like, if it's anything out their understanding outside of the material, like material or tangible wisdom, you don't get nothing else. And that's what I would say. I wouldn't even say material. I would say material gain and tangible wisdom. If you don't have tangible gain or material wisdom, they don't want to fuck with you. But here's what I've learned too. And it's so funny. I'd be quick to say, yo, and I'll be dead ass too. I will block you if you're too shallow for me. And I've learned, like, when they know your value and they know you're somebody of value, they be like, yo, you better not block me. Because they know if you don't come deeper, it bothers them. And I realized even my friend who tried to console me, I said, you're too shallow for me. And next time we speak, I have to tell her, I said, yo, you're too shallow for me. Where it's like, yo, and I said, you say you're not, you're not, she says, I'm not like the pack. But I say, in what way? When I tell her, like, yo, sweetie, you playing catch up. What are you talking about? If anything in the world, I'm ahead of her. Like, I'm 25 on my life purpose. I already know just where I'm going. I sacrificed everything for my goals and dreams. And this in my vision. She didn't do that. She did the flip. She did I'm taking care of others and starting a family young, etc., etc. I didn't do any of that. I did the complete opposite. So for me to make her feel like, oh, you're somebody that you're not, I said, nah. I know what you are and I know what you're not. And don't try to confuse me like, oh, you're somebody this, that, and the third. And I said, every time I do that to somebody and I give them the benefit of the doubt that there's something that they're not, I always get slapped in my dome. I fall flat on my motherfucking face when I realize, wait, they're not all that they say they are. And what that means is today is I realize I can't trust nobody. I can have an allegiance, especially, you hear me, especially with my South Node. When I'm talking to somebody of my South Node, I can only have an allegiance with them. Meaning, allegiance means being in a situation where y'all have a likely cause, where y'all come together for a like-minded cause. And I realized if I can't trust a Libra or Taurus, and because a lot of the time it's either, again, it's about a material gain, or it's about tangible wisdom. And that means only the wisdom that you can see, touch, smell, only wisdom you can get with your five senses. And I've learned with when I talk to Venus people, it's either that or they're up in the fucking air. And I've seen that from a Libra's perspective. They're all the way in the fucking cloud somewhere. And it's like, yo, what the fuck are you talking about? But they get all the beauty stuff done, but they're up in the fucking air. So, so what I just come to the realization is like, yo, that as being a Mars North node, there's nothing a Venus child can do for me. My parents aggravate me. And I'm not saying there's nothing, meaning, no, don't say that. They can't do nothing for me for the long term. And I noticed this. They can't do nothing for me for the long term. And last but not least, for instance, like when I see the psychology of one of my mentees and friends, like one of the issues I have with her is her denouncement of money. Like she's not finding ways to create money, but she does things to save and barter. And I realized, I said, sweetie, like for instance, she got her hair done the other day. She's beautiful, beautiful, right? But I'm like, why are you more concerned with getting your hair done? Like I said, especially in these times with this corona stuff, they're locking stuff down. And I'm like, why are you more concerned with making your hair look nice than you making some money right now? Because if they shut shit down and let's say, yo, you say I'm taking my son, I'm out. If you can't even do that, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if you say, yo, I can't be out? You know how frustrating it is not to have any money? Like when people denounce, now I'm going to the leadership a little bit. This is what I mean by poor relationship when you're talking to a Venus sign. Do you know how frustrating it is to not have any money? Like, do you know how frustrating it is to say, yo, I don't got it? And I said to myself, like, I'm not even gonna talk about Turner One and on some deep shit because I'd be like, yo, and I said, this is how I'm growing and I'm really transforming. That old way of thinking doesn't resonate with me anymore. And that's what I'm realizing more and more in my transformation, my Scorpio North Node. That mindset does not work for me anymore because I know it's outdated. I know under hard times, she'll be the first to ask, hey, can I borrow $500? Hey, can I borrow $1,000 for my bills? I said, why aren't you putting yourself in a position where you can create that? And that's less important than saying, I gotta get my hair done. That's how Lisa arrives is in Libra. So I said, you rather look pretty, which is a good thing, than fucking, because how much is a weave and so and all that is over $100. I'm like, yo, why is that more important than you figuring out a way for you to make money? Because when she was sleepy and she said something to me in a vulnerable state, she said, yo, it's hard for you to do your credit and you don't have no money coming in. And I realized when your guard is up, your ego says a lot. And I realized, again, all the Venus signs around me that have major placements, they're shallow. And they only are going to help me to a certain degree. Because I realized, I'm like, yo, again, why is that more important, bro? And I know she was joking, but she said, yo, go invest in the stock market. I said, yo, but what if I became seriously rich doing the stock market right now? Then you're going to sit there and look at me and say, yo, I wish I would have invested then. Instead of saving my money doing shit that don't make no sense. But again, when I became in the Scorpio North Node, that's when I'm really shedding. I'm really shedding the Venus mindset. Like on some, yo, I gotta feed my comforts. Like, yes, make money, but you gotta leverage that. And you gotta leverage it quickly. Like another Libra rising talked to me today about, oh, I need to get in connection with your friend who owns real estate because we try to do a militia. And I said, I get what you mean, but you don't got no money. So how are you doing that with no money? You can't buy no land. You can't. I said, people who got land. I said, I get that. So you don't got no money though. And I don't even degrade. Oh, I want to connect him. I would, but the last time I did that with him, he don't got no money. When you go to psychology, he has a very bad relationship with money. So he'll be all mouth and no action. All mouth and no action. All mental jargon like Libras, no action. And I'm like, yo, bro, you need to focus on how you can get off the streets right now. And I said, you're not there. And I said, when you're doing that, you could come talk to me about you want to start this and you want to start that and blah, blah, blah. Because you can't start that and you don't even know where your head gonna rest tonight. Shit don't make no sense from a psychological level. South Node aggravation, Venus.